So on Saturday morning, we were up at 8 a.m. We were bright and early and on our way to this warehouse.
When we pulled off that main road, it was very sparse suburban. When we pulled up to the property, there was an old house that clearly had been vacated. No one was living in it. The roof was falling in. Windows were broken. The paint was basically all faded away.
Apparently, it's filled with organs, but no one's allowed to go in there because it's so dangerous.
But we pulled past it, and there was the warehouse right behind it.
And it's a metal building. It has no cell reception because it is, I guess, like a Faraday cage. When you are standing outside, you also don't really get cell reception. It's just such a remote place.
Oh, there were 2 cars there, and one of the electronic guys was loading up his car and a trailer, and the other guy was inside looking around, and we arrived, and they were really friendly. And they were like, just look around, see what you could find. He said, try to make a pile, bundle some things together just to make it easy. And we were finally there. The whole place was climate controlled. It was pretty clean. There was the beginnings of boxes are taking off shelves. A couple of them are open. But otherwise, it was really all there.
So you walk in the building and you walk into an office. And the office, it has like file cabinets on one wall.
When you're in the office, there's a card system with all the part numbers. And the part number would relate to a aisle and a shelf number. And as you walk through the aisles and the shelves, you see numbers, and the system was still in place. Almost as if, I don't know if Mark came up with this system or it was a system that he brought over from Wurlitzer.
In the back wall, there's an electronics bench where, I guess Mark would, fix amplifiers.
There was an oscilloscope, an amp that looked like someone was working on.
There was some shelves with, some binders on it, and there were service manuals for different organs. There was some shelving with small parts, small felt parts and things like that.
In the office, there were shorter aisles of shelves, and that was really all the more generic components, all vintage, but the types of components that could easily go in guitar amps, tube amps, and the organ amps. And that was what the electronic liquidator guys really had spoken for. They said, so there were carbon comp resistors and a lot of capacitors.
On either side of that office was another room. If you walked to the right, there was a big open room, and it had a garage door that you could drive into, but it was too full to park anything there. There were these big shelves, and there were every single variety of can capacitor you can imagine was in boxes on this shelf. And there were a couple organs. There was a shelf that had organ legs, every single kind of wooden leg you can imagine. It was all piled up on a shelf. The ceilings were pretty high, and they had shelving all the way to the ceiling. You would need a ladder to get to look at the top. In these shelves were every single switch for every Wurlitzer organ. And they have a lot of switches. The were rocker switches. They had a big shelf of transformers.
One section that I thought was really cool, kind of as you wrap around, you were kind of going back in time. So the 200A transistors were all the way on the right, and we were curving around, and there were organ amps, and there were solid state ones on one end, and you went back a little bit, and then there were tube organ amps, and we actually took home a few of those because they have the same circuit as the 145 Wurlitzer electronic piano, but they were fitted for an organ. And then you wrap around, and then we saw some action assemblies, and then all the way around were some things that started to look like piano parts. There was very wooden and old school screws. And we were in the section where we found most of the things for the 112 there.
You know, it was just shelves and shelves and shelves of stuff. And it was just so overwhelming to look at it because it was like, you know, should I be like taking video of this place? Should I be like taking photos? Should I be looking through it, like trying to find my stuff? Like basically, like I was there for 5 minutes and the first thing I found was it was in the switches section. It was a little box of 120 knobs. And that was like one of the things that was on my list that I desperately wanted. And it was like, there must be so much stuff here. And we only had a day to do it, to look through it. We were making a pile. We found a pallet. So we were just using it as like, you know, just like a place to collect all the stuff we wanted. And we were just taking things we wanted and putting them on this pallet.
We found a new old stock 112 action assembly complete. That's the hammer, the damper, and the whip. We found a new old stock harp for a 200. That was kind of cool. We found a area where there were a bunch of pulled 206 amps, which would be like 206A, which would be like the 200A amps. Like maybe 30 of those. But then we also found 5 or 6 200A amps original with a printed circuit board populated, but they've never been powered up, and the output transistor had never been snapped off of the printed circuit board where they would apply it to the heat sink. So it was just completely like it just came off the assembly line, was populated, but wasn't finished up. We found a large bin of maybe 300 or so 720 140B pilot lights, the thing that I only bought 7 of before we left. What took up a lot of space there were sealed boxes of replacement organ assemblies. So like all the bass pedals, like a full set of pedals that would go on one of the organs. The like Orbit 3 keyboard with the circuits, like a new one in the box. There were like 2 of those. We found a big stack of faceplates for brand new, never used silkscreen faceplates for the swing and rhythm drum machines. We found some for another stack of faceplates for the Sideman drum machine, which is one of the first drum machines ever made. So as we were going through, our palette is growing and our pile's getting bigger. And there wasn't a overwhelming abundance of Wurlitzer electronic piano parts, but there was a lot and more than enough to make us happy for the trip. But there wasn't really a massive amount. The owners finally came and we had pretty much assembled our pile. There was more that I wanted to go through, but they were nice, and we said hi to them, introduced ourselves, and told them they knew we were coming, told them we were building a pile, and just to try to make it easy, and I'm just putting everything I like and I'm interested in on this pallet. And he said, that sounds good, take your time. At the end of the day, we left with the 2 liquidator guys and went to one of their houses where they had a small warehouse outside of their house, and they had already brought some stuff that they already purchased there.
You know, the electronics guys were very friendly because we had something in common that we liked, you know, these old things, and they were actually ham radio guys. So like, which was perfect because, you know, we were not competitive with each other. It was very complimentary kind of interest to have. So they were very friendly, and they had already bought some things. So after we looked through it, we went to their warehouse where they had taken the stuff that they already bought, and they asked us if we wanted to buy any of this stuff. And they actually had the tube sockets. They had, so I was trying to kind of keep a poker face when I was looking at this stuff and, trying not to act like it was like, my dream to buy these things because that makes the price go up. And walk into this guy's warehouse, and I saw on the floor this box. It was like a pretty big box, and it was filled with reed screws. It was, I like almost cried. This box weighed 30 or 40 pounds. I couldn't even speak to the guy about it. I was like, John, these are the reed screws. You have to get them. So I was like, John, tell him that we need the reed screws. And John was like, so can we buy these reed screws? And he was like, yeah. It's like, I don't have any use for those. It's like, I just took them because they looked like special, but I don't know what they're for. John was like, oh, okay, good. And it's like, because, I know what they're for and we could use them. He's like, just take them. It's like, like in the manner of someone who has no idea why we're getting emotional over a box of screws.
The liquidator guys recommended that I give the owner a ring and try to come to an agreement on what I've found and what I think it's worth and what we were to pay them. Being somewhat new to this, I asked him, what do you think about the pile and what are you looking to get for it? I should have just led with an offer, but he made an offer that made me almost faint. And I just kept it together, and I was like, well, I already drove for 24 hours, and I'm here now, so we just need to make this work. And I was like, okay. I was like, I just want to let you know that what I found, and I'm just thinking now of the sheer value of what we found as it pertains to a keyboard tech and a Wurlitzer restorer and what it's worth for me. Also, given the fact that I've driven so far to go there and to take it back instead of making them go through the trouble of finding it for me. So I told them that the parts that I was able to find after another keyboard tech came through and found some things, what was left was really more worth closer to this for me. And he totally understood that. And he was maybe slightly disappointed, but he totally understood because it just had to be commensurate for what I found. So we arrived pretty easily at a number that didn't make me faint and something that really made sense. We loaded up and the car was literally completely packed. And we drove about an hour away, maybe. We were feeling a little nostalgic because we were thinking about all the organ parts that we left behind, all the brand new old stock parts. We're like, somebody's got to want this. We were like, this stuff is brand new and it's beautiful. These bass pedal assemblies, this keyboard assembly, these circuit boards, these replacement parts. Someone's got to want it. So we posted a picture of the aisle with the Wurlitzer boxes and a little blurb in the middle and saying, we can't take it all with us on Monday. Much of this, actually all of this, will be thrown away. If someone is interested, send us a DM. And that post on TikTok literally blew up. We were getting comments saying that this is a scam. We were getting comments saying there's no way this is true. We were getting comments saying this is the saddest thing I've ever read. We were getting comments saying somebody should, do something to the people who are throwing all that away. And then we were like, We don't want that. We don't want negative. We don't want people getting mad at the owners who we're still trying to make deals with. And they don't deserve that much negativity, I don't think. So we took it down. And then we shared about our experience on Instagram, and we were getting some realistic sounding responses from some concerned and hopeful people saying that they would like to try to bring a trailer and rescue some of the organ stuff that we couldn't take. So with that response and positivity, we decided instead of going home Sunday morning, first thing, we were going to stay another day and try to share some more photos, try to communicate with some other people, let them know what was there, and try to maybe help them make another deal and come and get some more of the stuff.